So, about a month ago, it finally happened. I was on the Classic Computing IRC channel, and someone mentioned that an HP disk drive was going to come available. Now, he lived way the heck down in Idaho Falls, but he wasn't offering a whole heck of a lot of money for it. And so, just the other week, I headed down there. 3,000 kilometers round trip. Had a couple breakdowns. But I managed to load it, find out what it was exactly. And here it is here. This is a Hewlett Packard 7925 removable disk drive. It doesn't look like a whole hell of a lot. Specifications say it's about 300 pounds, but it's not. It's lighter than that. But what the hell is it? Well, if we go back before the era of the Winchester hard drive, or most sealed disks of today, we have removable drives. And that's exactly what this is. Now, you may have noticed I just opened it. I'll get into that later. Take specifically, in this case here, HP's 13356A packs. This looks almost exactly the same to HP's 7920 drive, which was, I believe, about 50 megabytes in size. But this one here was really announced in about 1978 or 1979, around that time period. Added more platters to the packs themselves, so we now had 120 megabytes per pack, and connected to the HP 1000 series machines. It also cost about $17,000, which with each additional pack costing about $500 or so. But it's in great shape. No real scuffs. Really anywhere. It's actually quite clean. You actually may have noticed here, when I opened it, I was like, talk about it later. The reason is you're not supposed to be able to open it when the power's off. Mainly because if there's a pack in it, that may add contamination to it. You're going to contaminate the chamber here itself. But in this case here, don't worry about that. Or you might potentially damage the heads over here. And that's because someone's already tried to open this while it was powered off. And in the process, this little tiny plastic piece here is part of the locking mechanism that fits down here. Without this, this little interlock switch won't engage properly. So I'm going to have to glue that back on. Anyways, it's in great shape. Managed to get it down into the basement. I got to point out that, like I said, it's not that heavy. And it didn't take me that long to get it out of the car and then get it dragged around the house and loaded into the back of the house into Celgene headquarters here. But inside, again, absolutely magnificent. I'm just going to open the front here. It's sticky, and that's because it has that decaying foam on it, which is just not what I want. I'm going to have to redo all this because this is actually part of the air duct here. And it goes to the primary filter. There's an absolute filter, which I basically call a HEPA filter, hidden away underneath here. And there's a couple of diagnostic switches here, controlling the formatting, write protection, and setting the drive ID. And up here we just have our beautiful indicator lights. Self-test failed. You're probably not going to see it with the glare. Self-test failed. Drive fault in read-only mode. Whether or not the door is unlocked, I'll talk about that in a couple minutes there. And drive ready once it's all spun up and ready. And we have an indicator here for telling us the drive address. And a single toggle switch that is used to either to lock the top and spin up or spin down the disk. On the very bottom here, we know this is a master drive because we have an HP 13037C disk controller in it. Also worth pointing out, this is not just the 7925. This is the 7925B, so it's basically the second revision of it. Not a whole hell of a lot has changed, it's just a later version of it. Same here, the C-Series disk controller. It's a much later one, so I can also support with this 7905, 7906, 7920s, all in here. I can do attach 8 different drives to this, and it has an interconnect bus on it that would connect to the host machine, preferably an HP 1000 or something to that line. Anyways, even has a maintenance record here. It's never been written on, so I'm assuming it's been written somewhere else, and this is just nice and clean. Again, no dust in here when I got it. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm going to close that up. That tag there is just the decommissioning tag. This actually went out of use in 2014. Whether or not it means it was used until 2014 or it was finally discovered in a closet and disposed of in 2014, I don't know. We're going to go around to the back here. And I'm probably going to have to turn up the gain on my camera. There we go. And even came with the key. So I can actually lock the back panel here. I am missing the cable guard, but that doesn't matter. Turn the key. Inside of it, we get a little bit more about the power distribution unit, which is this little device here, because when you flip that switch, it should turn on both the controller and the drive. And we have all of our cabling here. I'm not entirely sure why this has been unbolted, but nothing's missing off of it. But this is part of the bus that would connect to the host computer. And there's actually a terminator plugged in here, so this leads me to believe this is the only drive or controller or anything that was on this bus chain. So, again, fantastically clean in here. More of this foam. It all has to be changed out because when you turn the drive on, or if you're using it, if any of this gets past any of the filters, it's going to get into the drive assembly, and it's going to get potentially in between that gap between the disc and the heads and crash it, and that's just going to be a very, very bad thing. Now, the best thing about this whole thing is that it works. It actually turns on. It's also quite quiet, considering how big it is. No smoke, no noisy fans, no nasty errors. It's actually telling me right now that the door is unlocked and our drive ID is 0. So I'm just going to open the lid now. No hesitation, so you can see that locking mechanism. And it's now blowing air in over here and also through here. And this is what's helped use to keep the assembly in here clean when you load your packs in and so forth. Your heads would extend once everything's spun up. It has a nice clean gasket along here. Absolutely fantastic. Totally fantastic. Let me turn it off so you can hear me a bit better here. Now, the reason I wanted one of these is that, well, it's a pack loading device. It's about the size of a small filing cabinet. Most of the drives you're going to see, not including stuff like DEX RL drives or arcade drives, which I find to be a little too small, most of these types of top-loading pack drives are going to require 3-phase power. You live in a residential neighborhood or even some commercial neighborhoods, you're not going to have that kind of electricity available. It'll also consume a crazy amount of it. The drive itself will also be extremely heavy, and you will need a very specific controller and bus to use it. And that's why I was looking for a 7925 for so long. It will work on 120 volts. Power consumption is 12 amps. As you heard, it's quite quiet. And like I said, it's really lightweight compared to what the specifications say it is. And, well, look at it. It's small. I would probably add another. It's about 3 feet tall. Probably would have added an extra 6 inches onto the back or so if it was one of the larger drives you'd expect with an IBM or a Cray or something like that. And as for interfacing, that's where the cool part comes in. Now we have that interface that's on the back already for the HP machines. I don't have one of those machines. In fact, I think the closest thing I have to one of those machines is a ROM board, which is hiding way the heck up there. But no, I don't have one of those machines. However, this is HP, and a little while later, before the 7935 drive came out, which did not use the fancy transparent disc packs, instead they switched over to the just opaque white, which is kind of boring. HP used quite extensively with their test equipment and some of their computers the Hewlett Packard Interface Bus, HPIB, otherwise known as General Purpose Interface Bus, GPIB, or IEEE 488. And this is a very standard connection and electrical connection. Even today, you can still find test equipment that uses the same connector. In fact, there's even adapters out there that'll let me go from GPIB, HPIB, or whatever to USB. So in full theory, with a little bit of handiwork, I can actually attach this to a modern computer. Yes, it's ridiculous, but that's the reason why I wanted it. But instead of going for a straight out like Windows 10 machine running one of these, I do have a couple other more decent machines. I have an HP 9000, which will accept a HPIB interface board in the back. It might work with the Amigo command set this drive uses. I have an HP 85 just for kicks. Maybe it'll work. Probably won't. But more interestingly, I have a Silicon graphics machine with a GPIB board in it, and apparently you can boot from that. So I want to see what happens there. Also, one other thing I want to show you, as I have the top lid taken off here, and there's more of that bloody foam on it, which has to be changed out. I guess it's used a lot for noise dampening, which works quite well. But while we have that off, underneath there, we have the power supply with that absolutely massive filtering cap, and a rather impressive amount of fuses, all nicely indicated and all that, so that's kind of fancy in case something breaks down there. Over here we have the cage, which is basically the logic for the voice coil, the heads, and all that. And further in here, if I turn the gain up and zoom in, you can just make out the head assembly there and its associated wires going to each head, locked away for transport. And on top here is the absolutely monolithic magnet that is for the voice coil assembly. Actually, you can't even see the voice coil because it's all the way in the magnet right now. But there's actually a warning inside the manual which says don't put your packs on top of the drive in this location because you may wipe them. In fact, don't put anything magnetic on top of the drive in this location because, again, you may wipe them. And I'm sure there's been a couple of people that have done that because the top is quite inviting to place a pack or something on top. It's just the perfect size. But this is what it looks like on the back with that lid removed. Now, this is where my problem comes in. First off, you don't see me showing off any packs. And that's because I don't have any. I'm trying to find packs for this. As we've already seen, it requires a very specific type, the 13356A. And I can't find any of those. Actually, well, there is one on eBay, but the guy wants $350. Now, come on, I know I can get a better deal than that for a pack. There has to be someone out there with a couple of them. One would be nice, 5, okay, that's fine. That's like, I'll never need any more than that. The other thing is HPIB. I never actually showed you the interface on it. We know there's a controller in there, but the actual interface kit is not in this machine. It's an option. And I have to find one of those. And it consists of a board, just a single PCB that plugs into the controller, a jumper cable that plugs into the other boards within the controller so it can communicate, along with the backplane, which is, well, it's already set up for that, and a little cable that breaks out from the board to the back of the controller so I can actually plug in my GPIB cabling and attach it to my host machine. I'm looking for that. And, well, I haven't found anything yet. Nothing on eBay. HP systems seem to be quite obscure when it comes to that. But other than that, yeah, just wanted to show this off. I'm hoping in the next couple of months or so I'll be able to show it off actually working, or maybe even running off that SGI. Goal here is to see if I can actually make it boot that SGI. But, yes, there we go. Hewlett Packard 7925.